Good evening, everyone. You're in the spotlight with Brian Garner for this Tuesday, October the 16th, 2018. Good to have you all here for our first of two shows this week. Hope your weekend treated you well. Hope your week is treating you well so far. I know we're on the air late. I apologize for that. I am not feeling very good. There's been a nasty cold that's been working its way through our house. On top of that, it's also been we're kind of going through a phase right now with our almost 8-month-old daughter, where she doesn't really sleep much. So between that and not feeling good, I almost didn't even do the show tonight. But because we're going to be going off for a little bit of a hiatus next week, I didn't want to push shows back and kind of be backed up on things. So yeah, so basically my whole thing was to try to get these shows in. So I ran a little late tonight, so I apologize for that. I will try to power through here tonight. We have a lot to do. It's going to be a busy show tonight because there's a lot going on. At least in sports, there's a lot going on. So I'll do my best to entertain and all that good stuff here tonight. But just bear with me. My voice I can't really go too high with, and so we'll just try to power through here. So. But that's why we're late, because I really just didn't know if I was even going to be able to do tonight. But here I am powering through for you all. So, all right. So with that being said, let us get going here as always by reminding you all the ways in which you can interact and contribute to our show. Have your voice heard by emailing us at itspotlight401@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight401. Remember to use the hashtag itspotlight401 for anything you tweet regarding our show. And of course, you can find us on Facebook. To search for our fan page on Facebook under the show title In the Spotlight 401. So search for the title In the Spotlight 401. And then once you find our fan page, you can like our fan page, interact with us, and all that good stuff. Okay. Now, okay, let's see here. Just hang on 1 second, folks. There's something going on with the feed here. Just give me 1 sec, okay? Okay, folks, sorry about that. There was something what a way to start the show, starting late, and then I had to cut off real quick. There was something going on with my screen, and I wasn't able to. All my little gadgets here and that weren't working. So we're back and up and running now. So sorry about that. All right, so we got a busy show tonight. it's a busy sports kind of time. October is that kind of month. It's a busy sports kind of month. All 4 sports, a couple sports starting like the NBA, which we'll preview briefly tonight. A lot of times I like to wait a couple weeks until like you get, like for all the sports we do that a lot. We wait a couple weeks into the season and then we kind of like, oh yeah, we've seen a couple of teams play. But with the NBA, we're going to do it a little earlier because we're going to obviously have a hiatus next week. So I figured let's do it now. So we'll do a brief NBA preview, kind of have some fun, preview, like make predictions, that kind of thing. As the season gets underway tonight, a little earlier than normal, but it does get underway tonight. So we'll do that. So, like I said, so a couple of sports starting, NBA, NHL. People wonder why we don't do a hockey preview. Nobody asked me to do a hockey preview. People asked me to do a hockey preview, I might do it. So if you want me to do that, just let me know and I will do that. So, we got the NHL starting. Obviously, football is full force, college and pro. College basketball is slowly getting started. No games yet, but slowly getting started. You got baseball playoffs. So every sport really is in play. So that's why October is such a big month. So we got a lot to go over. Like I said, NBA preview. We'll talk about the MLB playoffs, which have not been very good, but we'll talk about them. We'll do our usual NFL stuff, look back at week 6, look ahead to week 7, college football, a lot of stuff to go over tonight, so we'll get into all that. And then Thursday, entertainment and wrestling, we'll talk about all the latest WWE stuff and other wrestling stuff that's going on. We'll talk about entertainment-wise, box office beat. We'll do our TV highlights segment. Any other big entertainment stuff we have to get. So Thursday will end up being probably a shorter show, as has been the case. Tonight will be a little bit longer, which sucks if we're starting late. But we'll try to get through it as quickly as we can. Next week, again, we're only going to be doing one show, and that will be on Tuesday next week. And that'll be our sports show for the week. So on Thursday of this week, we'll kind of do as far as our box office beat and stuff, we'll kind of do a double edition because we won't do one next week because we won't be on the air next Thursday. So next Tuesday will be our last show until November, I believe, the 6th. That's election night. I think that'll be our next show. But I'll let you all know on Thursday about that because I'm kind of going back and forth on whether we're going to do something a little different that week because we are supposed to be starting our new format that week. So we'll talk more about that on Thursday. So busy stuff going on, a lot of stuff going on, busy, that kind of thing. Before I get going, though, a couple of reminders. I mentioned this last week, but obviously with the aftermath of Hurricane Michael, and again, we want to express our condolences and thoughts and prayers to all those impacted by that horrific event. I'm going to, again, encourage you all, if you can, whether it's to volunteer your time or to do something to help in any way, donate money, whatever you can do, please do. They need all the help they can get down there. So please, if you can, donate in one way, in some shape or form, or help out in some way those impacted by Hurricane Michael. And I also would like to mention, too, I mentioned this last week, my wife has started a fundraiser for her birthday. It's for the mastocytosis. I think it's mastocytosis. I apologize if I'm botching it, but it's on our show's fan page. If you're able to give, please do. It's a very rare disease. That's why I'm mentioning it too. And this is being for my wife's benefit, because it's a cause that means a whole lot to her, for personal reasons, which I'm not going to get into. If you're able to give, please do. No amount is too small. It's something that means a lot to her, and I it's something that I don't think a lot of people know about. It's a disease I don't think a lot of people know about. So if you can give, please do. She's going to be doing it right up to her birthday next week, so I'm going to keep mentioning it because I believe in that cause too. So if you can give, please do. So I want to mention that top two, just as a reminder. Both things I mentioned last week, but just want to issue those reminders in case you did not see any of my, in case you didn't hear my announcements last week or anything like that. All right, so with that being said, let's get going here. Because we got so much to do and so little time. We're going to start off with the NFL. We're going to start off with the NFL, and then we'll do baseball. I think we'll do the NBA at the end. Because how long I go with that segment depend on, how much time I feel like we should go, and how much time I feel like we should have left, and how long it should go, and that kind of thing. So yeah. All right. So with that being said, let's go into the NFL here, and look, this week 6, you're in that second week of the second phase of the season where all these teams are starting to have already come together. Everybody's on the same page. You're kind of feeling your way through. It's all about putting your best foot forward and trying to pick up some wins and put yourself in a position to maybe go make a run this year. And you saw some teams just like last week continue that stride and make inroads. And pick up some big wins. The Packers last night, Monday Night Football, they should have lost that game. Aaron Rodgers saves their tail ends again. And, it was a great performance by them. And you got to give the 49ers credit for still being competitive given the fact they lost Garoppolo early in the season. But the Packers get a win that they need to have considering how the Bears are playing. So that's big. That puts them, gets them in the mix. And then that's how you ended this week. But you started this week with an Eagles team that really needed a big win. They've been very lucky that this division, the NFC East, has kind of not got away from them. Well, they needed a big win, and they got one. For the first time, the Eagles look like the Eagles, beating the Giants 34-13. Now, look, it's the Giants. We all know how much they've struggled this year, but still, it's a big win in a game that a lot of people didn't pick the Eagles to win. They thought the Giants would get this done. The Giants were now 0-3 at home. It was a huge win for the Eagles and one that they needed for their confidence, especially on the offensive end of things. But this is the first time this year that they put together a complete game. In fact, across the NFL, I can probably count on one hand the amount of games that I've seen a team put together a whole game. This is one of them. The Eagles put together a great, dominant game from start to finish, and look like that team that won the Super Bowl again. So big win for the Eagles, a win that they needed to have. The Falcons needed a big win to keep their hopes alive. They get one over a Buccaneers team, an upset-minded Buccaneers team who has done that before. We all know what the Buccaneers can do in that division, or against good teams in general. And, they put on they were right there. Winston was great in this game, but Matt Ryan was better, and he leads his team to a 34-29 win that they much needed win that gets them to 2-4. So they're hanging in there at this moment. The Steelers need the win, or they would face or they would be down pretty in a deep hole to the Bengals, and then the Ravens up there too. The Bengals had them, but the Steelers of 11 fourth quarter points gets them to a 28-21 win. The Steelers needed this. They needed this for their, I think, for their confidence. I think they needed this for their record. For the Bengals, it was devastating because I thought the Bengals played the better game. The Steelers has made more plays late. Antonio Brown with the late touchdown, and look, it's a win the Steelers needed because the Steelers have not been the Steelers. In the past, you see the Steelers go one week to another. Maybe 1 week they look like the Steelers, next week they wouldn't. It was very inconsistent. This year, they just haven't looked like Pittsburgh, and you can blame that on the whole Le'Veon Bell thing. You could do whatever you want to do with it, but they have not been the Steelers. There's been too many distractions, and for the first time in a long time, they've had it bother them. Well, this week, late in the game, they became the Steelers again, and they put on a show and get the 28-21 win, which gets them to 3-2-1. Bengals dropped to 4-2, so they're still there, but the Steelers are very much in play after this win. So big win for them. Chargers needed a big win. They play a Browns team that we know is a competitor and is going to give you a game. But in this game, though, the Chargers didn't allow them to give them a game. They blew out the Browns on the road, 38-14, in a win that they needed. Again, another confidence builder win. And sometimes you need that at this point in the season. Maybe you've been going through the motions. Maybe September, which we've talked about, is kind of like a preseason month now. You struggled. Now it's about building confidence and putting your best foot forward. Well, some of these teams did that, including the Chargers. They did that. They got these big, impressive wins, but they played very good football, and it boosts their confidence. It's a win for the Chargers that gets them to 4-2. That's huge for them. They are very much in play. The Seahawks, and of course, we want to extend our condolences to the family, friends, loved ones in the Seahawks organization on the loss of Paul Allen, who passed away yesterday. Obviously, that's a tremendous loss and a great man. It's a tremendous loss. The Seahawks come off of, they lose Paul Allen, and then they had a big win this weekend. And everybody thought the Seahawks would be in a transitional year, but now they're 3-3. They destroy the Raiders 27-3 in a win that's got to help their confidence as well. And Russell Wilson looked amazing in this game, so. This is a win that really helps their confidence and very much puts them in play. And again, our condolences to Seahawks organization, and thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Paul Allen. That's, again, a tremendous loss. So it's and I'm sure the Seahawks will do a tribute to him, and they'll be playing for their owner the rest of the season for sure. So a turnaround week for the Seahawks and a big win for them. And the Dolphins, who play a Bears team that's shocked the world. And the Dolphins are kind of struggling after shocking the world with their 3-0 start. Well, they go back home and they get a overtime win over again a very game Bears team, particularly on defense, 31-28. Dolphins played very well, especially late on offense. They got 15 points in the fourth quarter. They come down, they score on a very tough defense, put things together well. Brock Osweiler does the job, and the Bears suffer a devastating defeat that drops them to 3-2, which helps the Packers immensely. If you think about, and the Vikings, who, are sitting up there at 3-2-1 and both 3-2-1 respectively. So huge win for both the Dolphins, and of course I mentioned the Packers already. The Vikings get a win that they needed. 27-17. Again, a good confidence win the first time this year. I think the Vikings put together a representative effort, both on offense and defense. A solid win for them. The Jets, same way. They come off a win last week after suffering three straight losses. Defensively, they didn't look great, but on offense, they figured things out, and they beat the Colts at home 42-34. So on offense, they get a little confidence. Defense, they got to kind of go back to the drawing board. It was a little bit of a struggle, but you know what? You can deal with it. The Colts are a good offensive team, especially with Andrew Luck. And the Colts, you just got to feel bad for them, because on offense, they're doing everything right. Defense, it's just a mess. But it was a good confidence builder for the Jets. And I think probably this one probably the biggest confidence builder of the weekend, the Redskins, who go home to play a Carolina team that was riding high with some good momentum. Redskins beat them at home 23-17 behind a very solid effort on both sides of the football. I think if you're the Panthers, you're very disappointed on offense. Defensively, I thought they did everything fine, but you're very upset with the offense because there's a lot more plays they could have done late. The Redskins did a great job, but they still left a lot on the field, I thought. But it's a great win for the Redskins. And again, in a division that's not going away, nobody's running away from it. The Redskins are very much alive, and the Panthers suffer a tough loss, and they have not won a game on the road yet. So that's very critical. Texans win their third in a row, beating the Bills 20-13. It's a win that they needed to have after what they've done the last couple weeks. Look, I know the Bills have kind of hung in there, but the Texans are better than the Bills. The Texans should be more competitive. They needed this. It's a nice confidence builder, much like a lot of these teams did this week. And good job to them. 20-13, they beat the Bills at home. Rams continue to roll against a very game Denver team. 23-20, they now advance to 6-0. They are the only unbeaten team in the NFL. It was a test for them, and they passed it. They took what the defense gave them. On offense, I thought they did very well. They didn't force anything. And defensively they got after. So the Rams have a huge win. Broncos, you have to be impressed with how they've hung in there, and you keep trying to chug along. That's really all you can do. Cowboys, I thought, had, next to the Redskins, the most impressive, and the Patriots, a very impressive showing, the next best impressive showing. They beat the Jaguars 40-7, and that's a huge. Now the Cowboys look like a completely different team at home. They're 3-0, and they've just been dominant at home. The Jaguars, meanwhile, I don't know what's happened to them since opening night or opening week. I really don't. They have not looked good since opening week. It's been a struggle for them. It really has. On both offensively and defensively, they've just been very inconsistent, and it's a questionable. It's a loss that you question a lot of things for Jacksonville. For the Cowboys, you're like, okay, who are we on the road? At home, we know who we are. At home, they look like a team that should win this division. On the road, they look like a team that should be in last place in this division. It's crazy, but it's a huge confidence-building win for them to beat Jacksonville in their building the way they did. So huge win for the Cowboys. Ravens get a nice win against the Titans, 21-0. Good dominant win for them. We've seen them look good all this season, so that's not a surprise. Titans coming back down to earth a little bit, just as the Texans are kind of rising. So something to worry about there if you're the Titans. And what I thought was the best game of the week and the best game of the season The Patriots beat the Chiefs 43-40. Now, look, I know people complain about offense and, oh, the quarterbacks are getting too protected and there's no defense. And I'm going to put all that aside. This game was just a very, very good football game. Because even though the score doesn't suggest it, there was good defense in this game. I thought there was a lot of big plays in this game, especially on offense. It was a light show. Mahomes is incredible. His 352 yards and 4 TDs. He is for real. If you didn't think so already, he is for real. Brady was ridiculously good in this game, especially late. The Gronk play at the end. Great, great performance by both teams. A tough loss for the Chiefs because they had this, but at the same time, you can't hang your heads. The Patriots just found a way to get the job done. And look, New England has shown us that they are not going anywhere. They will win this division again, and they will be a Super Bowl threat again. And Kansas City will probably have, this is probably an AFC Championship preview. The Chiefs and the Patriots will probably meet again in the AFC Championship. They probably will. And if you're the Chiefs, you got to hope that that game's in your building, because if it's in New England, you ain't winning it. I don't care how good the Chiefs are. This is the way it is. It's just the way it is. But big win for the Patriots. A good confidence-building win for them. Not that they needed it because they've been rolling for a couple weeks now. But for the Chiefs, it is devastating. But at the same time, you can take a lot from this game. Your young quarterback did not scare, did not fear. And your team did pretty well. You only lost by 3 in New England. So be happy about that. The only way you'd be happy is we won. But I thought the Chiefs were very impressed with this game. They had nothing to hang their heads about. So huge. So the story, and the Lions and Saints both had buys, so we want nothing to talk about there. So a week of a lot of confidence-building wins. A week in which you saw some teams continue to solidify themselves, and some teams shockingly perform up to shocking standards, like the Cowboys, the Chargers, the Redskins, the Dolphins. And again, some teams, got their redemption. Philly, which needed a big win like that. New England, which I think, even though they come off some wins, they needed a win like that. Again, another weekend as we continue to improve the quality of play. The games are getting better. These teams are playing better, particularly on offense. And, now you go into week 7 and you're approaching the halfway point of the season. So by now, everything should be in play, and it's about these next 2 weeks are huge in terms of knowing where you are, because it's very hard, especially in this day and age with the NFL the way it is, with September being like a lost month. If you're around 500, you don't know. You don't know if you should go for it this year. You don't know if you should make some trades or start maybe a young quarterback or start playing young players over your veteran. You don't know. It's hard to tell sometimes the landscape and say, hey, maybe we can make a run this year and sneak in. It's hard to tell. But these next 2 weeks should be when you look at this and go, okay, can we do this? Is this a year that we can maybe play football in January and sneak into the playoff field? Now, if you're like the Chiefs, or you're like the Patriots, or you're like the Eagles or whatever, you don't think like that. You're all in on this year. But for the teams that are like 3-3, like and are playing surprisingly well, like the Cowboys, the Redskins, the Titans, those teams, those are the ones that got to look at and go, okay, what are we looking at here? Where are we going this year with our teams? And these next 2 weeks probably won't give them an answer because of the way that everything's playing out. But you do have to look at it and see how these next 2 weeks go. And if you're still in it at week 8, or right around where you are at already, and the field's right there with you, then you're probably going for it. If it's not, let's say you lose the next 2 weeks, then maybe you question things and go, you know what? That's it. We're not going to be deceived. We're not going to be deceived into putting off a rebuilding effort. Let's change gears and look towards next year. So a big week for a lot of teams, a tough week for a lot of teams. But such is the NFL, and such is the middle as you're heading towards the halfway point of the season. That's the story. How do we do on our picks? As I pull them up. If I can get them to pull up. Here you go. Here we go. NFL picks. Week 6. Okay, I picked the Eagles over the Giants, even though a lot of people didn't, so I got a win on that one. Bengals over Steelers, that was a loss. Chiefs over Patriots, that was a loss. Ravens over Titans, that was a win for me. Panthers over Redskins, that was a loss for me. Texans over Bills, that was a win for me. So 3-3 again. That's kind of been the story of my last couple weeks. Which usually happens midseason. So see a lot of 3-3s midseason. So 3-3 for me on week 6. And now I look ahead to week 7, and it's again, the story is more the same. Try to continue to build yourself up. Try to continue to be better. Try to put your best foot forward and solidify your position. Get a gauge of where you're at, and whether this is going to be a season to go all in or not. Some teams already made that decision. Some teams made that decision before they stepped on the field for week 1. But some teams it's not that easy to kind of figure that out. So that's what these next couple weeks are for. So I think on paper it should be an interesting week. Here's your week 7 slate of games. This Thursday game is probably the worst Thursday game they've had this year so far, but it could still be interesting at the very least in terms of seeing these young quarterbacks on the field and Josh Rosen, Case Keenum, and see what they do against each other. But anyway, Thursday Night Football, that game I've just been talking about, 8:20 p.m. Eastern on Fox and the NFL Network from Glendale, Arizona. The 2-4 Broncos take on the 1-5 Cardinals. That is your Thursday Night Football game. Sunday, you have another London game at Wembley Stadium to start off the day, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time on CBS. The 3-3 Titans at the 4-2 Chargers. This game a little bit earlier than last week, but again, another London game nonetheless. And then the 1 o'clock window of games starting on CBS. The 4-2 Patriots head into Chicago to take on the 3-2 Bears. On CBS also, the 2-4 Bills head to Indianapolis to take on the 1-5 Colts. On Fox, the 2-3 Lions will challenge Miami, the 4-2 Dolphins. On Fox, you also have the 3-2-1 Vikings taking on the 3-3 Jets on the road. Also on Fox, the 3-2 Panthers take on the 3-3 Eagles from Philadelphia. And then you have the 2-3-1 Browns taking on the 2-3 Buccaneers on Fox. That game from Tampa. And then you have on CBS the 3-3 Texans headed to Jacksonville to take on the 3-3 Jaguars on CBS. And then your 4 o'clock window of games. The 4-1 Saints had at 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern time on Fox head into Baltimore to take on the 4-2 Ravens. At 4:25 p.m. Eastern on CBS, the 6-0 Rams will challenge the 1-5 49ers in San Francisco at Levi Stadium. And then you got 4:25 p.m. Eastern on CBS from FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. You have the 3-3 Cowboys taking on the 3-2 Redskins. A little bit of an old school matchup there. And then your Sunday Night Football game on NBC from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. You have the 8:20 p.m. Eastern time, the 4-2 Bengals taking on the 5-1 Chiefs. A game between two early season competitors. Two teams have done very well early in the season. Will take each other on. Chiefs come off a loss. Bengals come off a loss. So we'll see who redeems himself in this game. And your Monday Night Football game, 8:15 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. The 1-5 Giants will take on the 2-4 Falcons. The Packers, the Raiders, the Steelers, and the Seahawks all have byes this week. All right, so let's do our picks here because there's a couple of really good, interesting games here. Not as much as last week, but there's a couple good ones. Let's start with I'm going to start with the Sunday Night Football game because that's an easy game to pick. Bengals, Chiefs. And look, I think that's going to be a good game, but I just think the Chiefs are I think the Chiefs are better. I think it's going to be a good game up until the end, and then it's going to end up being not like a blowout, but a solid win for the Chiefs. I just think they're so much better, especially with the quarterback. So I'm taking Chiefs over Bengals, but I think that's going to be a fun game to watch, especially the first 3 quarters when I think it'll be a bit more balanced and competitive. Let's pick Cowboys Redskins. Interesting game. Cowboys have been a different team on the road. Redskins have been pretty solid. To me, this game comes down to this: what Dallas team shows up. If Dallas plays like they've been at home, they'll win. If they don't, they'll lose. I'm more in line with the way the Redskins have played. I think they've been a little bit more consistent, so I am going to pick the Redskins, especially at home. But this game could be interesting, especially if the Cowboys show up. So, but anyway, I'm taking Redskins over Cowboys in that old school matchup. Saints and Ravens. Interesting game. Ravens have more offense than they usually have had. Their defense we know is back this year. The Saints we know have all offense and not much defense. Saints have been able to win road games this year. They're 2-0 at home on the road. Baltimore though 2-0 at home. So interesting for a number of reasons this game. I keep going back and forth on this because I think the Saints are the better team, even with their deficient defense. Having said that, I'm going to go with Baltimore here. Um, Only because I feel like the fact that they can put out a defense is critical, and them being at home too is critical. So Ravens over Saints for me in this game. All right. Let's see what else. Eagles Panthers. Got to pick that game. Great game. Panthers coming off a loss. Eagles coming off a big win. I think the Eagles turned a corner last week. They're going back home. Panthers defense, I didn't like what they did. Offense, I didn't like what they did last week. Defense, I thought they did okay, but I think the Eagles just have enough to get to even beat the defense of the Panthers, even though they're very physical. The Eagles can be physical too, especially on defense. I think the Eagles will do a good job of shutting down Carolina. I think Carolina will do a good job of shutting down Philadelphia, but I think Philadelphia has more weapons, and them being at home, I think critical too. So I like the Eagles over the Panthers. Uh, let's see. I gotta find an upset. Oh, let's pick Patriots Bears first. Um, this I think is gonna be an interesting game because what it comes down to is the defense of the Bears versus the offense of the Patriots. Because the Patriots don't have much of a defense. It's better than the Saints. You know, it's better than a lot of these other offensively based teams, but it's not great. The Bears have a defense, but not much of an offense. Even though their quarterback has done better in recent weeks. This is a home game for them. I really like the way that the Bears have been playing defense, especially with Khalil Mack. The Patriots have been our own two on the road. After that matters. But the Patriots also have their weapons back. They got Gronk, they got Gordon there, they got Edelman back. That's gonna make things very, very difficult, I think, for the Bears. So I think the Patriots get the road win over the Bears. I think they're in a rhythm right now. Once the Patriots get into rhythm, they're tough to beat. For the last pick, I could pick a lot of games. I could pick the Titans Chargers, which could be interesting. Vikings Jets. I could go with Texans Jaguars. Ultimately, I'm going to go with Vikings Jets. Oh, and here's why. Because I think I have to pick an upset. And this is the upset I'm going to pick. I think the Jets beat the Vikings. I really like the way the Jets have been playing. They were one of my super teams this year. I think they've turned a corner. Their defense wasn't great last week, but I think that's going to be kind of a wake-up call. I think they'll come out strong on defense this week. Offensively, I think they've turned a corner. They're playing better. Darnold's playing better. I haven't liked the way the Vikings have played outside of last week. I thought last week they did good, but against the Jets defense, which I think could do a lot of things to mess with your head, I think that could cause the Vikings some problems. I think this will be a low-scoring affair, which I think will benefit the Jets. The Vikings like playing those gritty games too, but I think the Jets are perfectly comfortable with it, and I think the Jets are just in a better place right now. I'm picking the Jets. Of course, they're also at home too. I'm picking the Jets to beat the Vikings in my upset pick of the week. I try to pick at least one upset a week, but it's gonna be the one this week. So Jets over Vikings. So my picks for Week 7 of the NFL season: Chiefs over Bengals, Redskins over Cowboys, Ravens over Saints, Eagles over Panthers, Patriots over Bears, and Jets over Vikings. Your NFL picks for Week 7 of the NFL season. All right. So I know, I have a cold, so bear with me. My voice keeps going in and out. I'm kind of discombobulated, so just deal with me. I'm sorry. So that's our NFL talk for this week. I know there's a lot of other things going on, like the Le'Veon Bell. I know we're not covering a lot of these like off the field things, and I made a concerted effort this year. I know we talk sports on here and everything else, but I made a concerted effort this year just with the NFL stuff to just focus on the field stuff. After everything that's happened the last couple of years, it always seems like there's an off the field thing going on and some kind of drama. And I'm trying to focus on the games themselves. I just think that's what people really want right now. I mean, what else can we say about Le'Veon Bell? Well, he's supposed to be coming back. Nobody knows when. It's at this point, there's not much you can say about it. So, but I know there's other things too. I just, again, maybe as as we go once after the hiatus and stuff, maybe after that we'll do more of it. But right now, I just want to focus on the field and the games themselves, and keep the other stuff out. That's just my feeling. But and I think that's what people want too. I think it's net this year. Now the more the focus has been on the games this year. I think people are enjoying the sport more. So all right, so we did the NFL. College, I'm going to be short and sweet about it. There wasn't a whole lot going on this week. And again, I love talking about college football. I really do. But, and there were a couple weeks there where it got somewhat interesting. There were, but then it kind of fell right off again. And that's kind of what, normally, uh, it's right around this time of year where people start, especially with with the way things are now at the college football playoff rankings. Right when the first rankings come out, it's usually when people start to go, okay, that's time to get interested. That's since we started doing those rankings, that's when people have gotten really, really into it. But this year there were a couple interesting games early, and people got into it a little early, and we talked a few weeks. I think there were a couple weeks, like at the end of September, early October, where we did do a little bit with college football, more than I would have done at that stage. Now things have calmed down. Like you look back at last weekend, week 7. I can pull it up, my notes here. Not a whole lot. There just wasn't a whole lot going on last week. There wasn't any big note. Like it wasn't a huge week of matchups. No big upsets. I mean, Pittsburgh gave Notre Dame a hell of a game. Iowa State did beat West Virginia, so I guess that would be the only one. Oregon beat Washington, but I kind of saw that coming. Oregon beating Washington, I really did. I wasn't a huge upset for me. Michigan State beat Penn State. All right, that one's a good one. That one's a good one. Baylor gave Texas a game, which I predicted they would. Michigan beat Wisconsin, which they needed to do. Virginia beat Miami. USC beat Colorado. Tennessee beat Auburn. A lot of those teams are lower at the end of the top 25. I mean, I guess, okay, Iowa State beats West Virginia. Oregon, Washington, again, I saw that one coming. That was a great game by one of the better college football games of the season. Michigan State beat Penn State. So, yeah, a couple, wins that made waves, upsets that made waves, but nothing huge, nothing earth-shattering. And a lot of these games, we kind of predict, okay, they're going to be close. I mean, not that should take away from them, but to me, an upset's a good upset when you don't really see it coming, and some of these were. I mean, I didn't see Michigan State, Penn State coming, but Oregon, Washington, I did, okay. So there was 2: Iowa State beating West Virginia and Michigan State beating Penn State. I didn't see coming. Oregon over Washington, I did. So, okay, 1 out of 3 I saw coming. So I guess 2 of them were unpredictable, but still, it's just nothing earth-shattering for me. Oh, okay, that's again. I have a cold, folks. Bear with me. LSU beating Georgia. That one was significant. So that would be the headline for me out of the last week. LSU beating Georgia, not just beating them, but beating them badly, 36-16. And again, you have to think that LSU is that team from outside, the top 5 or 10 or so that could sneak in here and make some waves. They've done a lot. I know they're 6-1, but they've done a lot. Beating Georgia, that's huge for them. So a big signature win for them this past week. So so that would be the headline for me, is the Georgia's loss. That one's the big one. And that one's one that you thought was possible, but you still kind of didn't kind of see coming. Just because you think it's possible doesn't mean you see it coming. It's like, oh, it could happen, but that's kind of what that game was. It was possible, but I really didn't believe it would happen. So huge for LSU. So that one would be the headliner, and the other ones, again, 2 of them were kind of, I guess, on the surprising side, and one of them wasn't. So I guess all in all, it ends up being a more eventful week than, maybe I thought it was, because I forgot about the Georgia game. That kind of, again, my mind's not here, so just bear with me. But for some reason, I thought that was last week or something. It's crazy. But yeah, that's a significant one. That's a big one. Now this week, when you look at this week, week 8, first of all, the playoff rankings will be coming out next week, so that makes things, you're at that point in the season now where everything's going to start to take on a different gravity, a level of importance. But this weekend has some very good matchups. Start with Michigan State, Michigan. Michigan's now number 6 in the country. That's a noon game on Fox. That's a huge game. Oklahoma, TCU, I would keep an eye because TCU has played Oklahoma good in the past. NC State, Clemson, which I think NC State is kind of on the outside looking in right now, but boy, they have a good chance against Clemson. That's a game to keep an eye on because I think they could potentially give Clemson a hard time. Mississippi State, LSU. LSU cannot afford a hiccup. They made their way all the way up to number 5. Cannot afford a hiccup. Mississippi State can give them a hiccup. Oregon and Washington State. The Pac-12, they're going to make a run here. They need to have one of these teams kind of keep winning here. Oregon gets a good chance here against the top 25 opponent. Have to win that game to keep their hopes alive. So, a couple interesting games on the table. Now, I would say Oregon will probably beat Washington State. I think LSU will beat Mississippi State, but I think it'll be close. I actually think I could see NC State beating Clemson. I know people don't see it, but I could see it. I've seen them twice. I could see it. I don't think it will happen, but I could see it. Michigan State, Michigan. I think Michigan State's going to win. I do. I think Michigan State's going to win. I think that's my kind of my upset pick of these games here. I think Michigan State will win. TCU, Oklahoma. I think TCU will play them strong. I think Oklahoma will win. But I think Michigan State will beat Michigan. That's my real upset pick here. So all in all, I think this could be an interesting week, especially with the rankings coming out next week. I think you set things up really, really interestingly. Like I said last week, ended up being a little bit more eventful than I remembered it to be. I can't believe I forgot the Georgia loss. I really can't. But weeks pour together sometimes when you look at too many things between NFL and college football and baseball. You're looking at too many things. But yeah, last week, there wasn't anything like other than Georgia loss. There wasn't a lot earth shattering. A lot of it was just kind of like, okay, all right, well that one's important, but it's not that huge. Oh, okay, well that one was predictable, but Georgia losing wasn't one. That one was huge, and that one wasn't very predictable in my mind. But this weekend we'll see. Maybe we'll have a couple that aren't predictable, and that will shock the world and shake things up right when the rankings come out. That's what makes it fun when you have. And I have to say, since they started these playoff rankings, it always seems like that weekend before the first rankings come out and that weekend after those first rankings come out, it seems like you have a lot of upsets and things get completely shaken up. That and the last week of the season before you get to conference championship games and such, that week is always crazy too. But it always seems like, once those rankings start to come out and once you get to the bitter end, things start to get shaken up even more. So that's fun. It makes it fun. So this weekend could be fun again. And then with the rankings come out next week, every week it'll be fun. That's when you start to really start talking about and getting into it, because then you know what every team stands and what they're looking at and who they have to leapfrog over and how well the committee looks at them and how favorably they look at them and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how these teams do, and some of these games should be very good this weekend. So, all right. So that's all the college football. Again, there's not a whole lot I can say about it other than what I've said. So we'll leave it at that. And that's the way college football is until the rankings come out. And then we'll have the rankings next week, so we'll have more to talk about from that week going forward. So, all right. So that's college football. Now we're going to jump to baseball. Where over this last week, we've seen the NLCS start. We've started the Milwaukee LA Dodger NLCS. We'll talk about that in a moment. So far, it's been a very good series. We saw the ALDS come to an end. Obviously, Houston advanced, but then the Yankees lost to the Red Sox, and who just dominated. Outside of Game 2, they just dominated them. They were the better team, and that's, we'll talk about the Yankees more in the offseason. I want to get into why they lost and all that stuff. Because it's been well documented. They just didn't hit when they needed to, timely hitting, but they're pitching into the job. The manager didn't make some mistakes, that whole thing. We can go into it, but I'm not going to, because this is not a local kind of show. It's a national type show. We'll talk about all teams, and, I don't want to belabor the point with the Yankees. So, even though I'm a homer and I'm a Yankee fan. So, but the Red Sox advanced, and they were the dominant team, and they advanced. And then you got Red Sox and Astros, and you got, again, the Dodgers and Brewers on the NL side of things. And so far, let's talk about the ALCS. So far, it's been, it's a 1-1 series. It's been kind of like the ALDS was. One team dominates. The first game was kind of like a back and forth. It wasn't too bad. Second game was just, a solid Red Sox kind of win. It was competitive for a little bit, but a solid Red Sox kind of win today. A little bit back and forth early, but then the Red Sox blow it out late. I thought A.J. Hinch has made some bad decisions in game 2 and 3 with the pitching, particularly in this game. I don't know why you're putting Osuna. I get that Houston has bullpen issues, but their bullpen's better this year than it was last year. And we know that Hinch is not against using starting pitchers out of the pen. Why not use a starting pitcher out of the pen to get you a couple innings early? I mean, honestly, the way I should have did it was put somebody in the 6th and 7th or whatever, and have Presley, who's been great for them, pitch the 8th, and then go to Osuna in the 9th. By putting your closer in the 8th and then throwing 27 pitches, and of course, the game ends up being a blowout anyway. But what would happen if it ends up being a 4? Like, let's say they keep it at 4-2 or even 3-2. He still throws 20-something pitches, and then in the 9th inning, let's say Houston came back in the bottom of the 8th. And they're up 5-4, and then you got Osuna out there with 27 pitches in the 9th inning. That's why you don't do that. You don't use a closer for 2 innings unless you desperately have to. And they didn't desperately have to. It's a 1-1 series. Talk about overthinking it. Terrible. I got hit to a bad 2 game. And that shows you a lot, because here's the thing, folks. We can get all on some of these managers, Dave Roberts, Aaron Boone, I know that they're all at their analytics and making decisions. Oh, it's not them making decisions, it's the front office, all that kind of stuff. Okay? That's the thing. These guys aren't making the decisions. Okay? They're not. So we can go crazy about these managers all we want, but they're not making the decisions. It's all prepared for them. Yeah, they look at the information, go, all right, well, I'll go out and get him now. But it's really all written in there. Like, okay, let's not really. Well, we want him in here for these batters. We don't want to pull him yet because we want him in here for that batter too. Like everything is scripted for the most part. Some guys have more power than others, like Terry Francona of the Cleveland Indians. Alex Cora for the Red Sox apparently has a little bit of more power, because you see the way he managed against the Yankees. He made some decisions with his gut, which I think you need to do. It needs to be a balance. Some decisions can be made on the information. Some decisions can be made on the gut. You have to keep the human element in the game. It can't all be about information. It can't be. It can't be. Sometimes you have to go with what you see. But I think the Red Sox in this series so far have been the better team too. I really do. Do I think the Red Sox are the best team? No, I don't. I haven't said that all year. I think Houston's better, and I think the Yankees were better. But they're playing like the better team, and that's sometimes an important distinction to make. We've seen time and time again teams that are not necessarily the best team, but end up playing like the best team. They win. And if you're playing like the best team at the right time, then you are the best team. You are. And the fact that they've been able to do what they're doing, basically without Chris Sale, because he hasn't been great, and he obviously had the stomach issue and everything, but they were able to get by with that. I mean, the Red Sox, to me, if Houston has any chance at all of winning this series, they have to win the next 2 games. 1-1 is not going to get it done. They cannot go back to Boston down 3-2. They have to be the ones ahead going back to Boston. Very important that they do that. Otherwise, they're done. They are. Because once Boston gets back to Fenway, I just don't know if I can see Houston winning 2 games there. 1, maybe. 2, no. No. Now, it has been a bad series, but it has been great. Again, not a whole lot of drama. Again, there's been back and forth in moments, but for the most part, it ends up becoming a one-sided game, usually late. It is what it is. Now, contrast that with the NLCS, where I think these games have been pressure-packed. I think the NLCS has been, between the Dodgers and the Brewers, has been the best playoff series of this entire postseason, because this postseason has stunk. A lot of it's been one-sided games, one-sided series, just not good. not many moments. This Milwaukee Dodgers series has been great. You've seen great performances. You've seen big hits. You've seen great pitching, timely hitting. It feels like an old school playoff series, the way that they should feel. Um, so really, um, that's been the save. That series has been the saving grace in the MLB postseason. And hopefully that means the World Series will be good with one of these teams in it. But I don't know. The way things have been going, it's been very disappointing, these playoffs for Major League Baseball. Very disappointing. Like, I thought that we were going to have such a good October that's all we'd have to find time to talk about everything else, because we'd be talking about baseball so much because there's so much going on. These games are great, and it hasn't been the case. It's been terrible. This Milwaukee Dodgers series is the only good thing about these playoffs. And they're having a classic game tonight, and as they go to the seventh inning on Fox Sports 1, it is 1-1 NLCS Game 4. That Milwaukee leads that series 2-1. And Milwaukee's quietly, obviously had a great year, but has quietly had a very good postseason. Their pitchers have been astoundingly good. And I think a lot of people slept on Milwaukee this year. As soon as the Cubs kind of made that run and kind of took first place, everybody's like, oh, Milwaukee. No, Milwaukee is showing themselves to be the best team in the National League. You waited all season for Milwaukee, no, not for Milwaukee, for a team in the NL to kind of jump up and go, we're the best team in the NL. Nobody did that. Well, Milwaukee's finally doing it. Honestly, I think Milwaukee deserves to win the series. I think Milwaukee has been the best team and to me, Milwaukee's been the best team in these playoffs. To me, I mean, if I'm going by performance, Milwaukee and Boston should be the teams in the World Series. I think they performed the best. That's just my opinion, though. But we'll see. Been a great series so far. Again, top of the seventh, NLCS Game 4 on Fox Sports 1, 1-1. Brewers lead that series 2-1. Again, check, if you're interested, check that game out. We'll keep you updated while we're on the show. I was supposed to mention the score earlier in the show. I apologize for that. I'm not all the way there tonight, but I'll keep you updated on that score while we're on the air. Very good game, and it's been a very close series, very good series so far. Again, the same grace in the MLB postseason. Now, we talk sports again a week from tonight. We'll have the World Series matchup because, you talk about it. Game 4 of the ALCS will be tomorrow. Game 5 of the NLCS will be tomorrow. And then NLCS gets a day off on Thursday. ALCS will play out on Thursday. NLCS will resume on Friday and Saturday. And the ALCS will resume on Saturday and Sunday. And so everything will be over by the time we talk sports again. So we'll have a World Series to preview next week, which hopefully will be a good one because the MLB playoffs will need it. So we'll see how that goes. But again, it has been an MLB MLB postseason that leaves a lot to be desired, and this is not a whole lot to talk about, and that's sad. It really is. Now, you do have this, as far as the Astro-Red Sox series goes, you do have this added sidebar. The whole Astros might be fined for shooting video to monitor the Red Sox. And in Game 1 of the ALCS, MLB was looking into an incident in which an Astros employee appeared to be shooting video from the photographer's pit adjacent to the Red Sox dugout in Game 1 of the ALCS from Fenway Park. The matter is being handled internally. Major League Baseball is looking into it. So that adds a little bit of fuel to the series, too. Although at this point, that was 2 games ago, and Boston's winning the series 2-1. So how much fuel can it add? I don't know. But, interesting. And in regards to the Astros incident, because a lot of people, there's been a lot of people, and I don't want to say anything because, I don't know if I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I don't go into this kind of stuff. But earlier this year, you had Trevor Bauer, the Indians, mentioned that he thought the Astros were doing some things with the baseballs. Their pitchers were doing things with the baseballs. And now you got an Astros employee, which in this case, they're, shooting video with photographers pay attention to the Red Sox dugout. So, again, nothing was ever proven about, the Astros and putting things on, something on the baseballs, whatever. Nothing was ever proven about that. And I don't think they did that, but they, But there was speculation, and Trevor Bauer had mentioned something on social media about it, but there was some speculation about that. But now you got this. I mean, I don't go into this stuff usually. In this case, this was proven. There was documented evidence that this was true, but the stuff with the baseballs and the pitchers hasn't been. It's speculation. But when you see this story come out, you think back to that and wonder if there might be something to it. If they're willing to do that, if they're willing to videotape the other team, a la Spygate, that maybe how ironic is it that a version of Spygate is happening to the Red Sox with Patriots there. But anyway, when you see something like this happen, you wonder if anything else might be happening. It's just natural reaction to things. But that does add fuel to the series, even though Boston's already up 2-1. So, but that's something to follow. See how that turns out going forward here, especially as this series continues to play out. But yeah, this has been an MLB postseason that leaves a lot to be desired, and hopefully it gets better. And at least this NLCS will give you some good baseball, and hopefully the World Series will give you some good baseball, because it hasn't been pretty. It has not been good. Has not been good. So, and that's why there's not much to talk about with it. Now, we go from baseball, to, which is nearing the end of its season, to a sport that's starting its season tonight in the NBA. Tonight, you have a doubleheader on TNT. The first game is already concluded. Boston taking that game 105-87 over the Sixers. Great game that was. No doubt you'll be seeing those two teams match up probably in the playoffs. And then the second game is underway on TNT. 8:36 left in the second quarter. It is the Golden State Warriors 39 and the Oklahoma City Thunder 29. That series, that also could be a potential playoff preview. Obviously, everybody thinks this season belongs to the Warriors. Of course, I should also mention too, Oklahoma City. It was about Westbrook in that game, so you think of that. When you look at that score. But anyway, everybody thinks this season belongs to the Warriors, and why not? We've seen what they've done in the last few years, and now Cleveland has pretty much broken up. LeBron's in LA, which is going to be the prevalent storyline of the season, along with the fact that, hey, who's going to step up to stop the Warriors? Now, everybody thinks the best candidate is the Celtics. The Celtics, who everybody thought last year could be the team to dethrone the Cleveland Cavaliers, but then Kyrie Irving gets hurt. Gordon Hayward got hurt on opening night. But still, the Celtics persevered without Irving, without Hayward, and nearly knocked off the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Well, the Celtics have all those players back, along with a healthy Irving and Hayward. That's what has everybody thinking the Celtics are going to make it out of the East this year, and are going to give the Warriors a series, and probably have the best chance to beat the Warriors. I would agree with that. I think that the Celtics match up very well with the Warriors. They play the kind of defense they play matches up with the Warriors. I think they have enough playmakers, enough scoring. I think that series would be tremendous, and I think that would be your best chance at knocking out Golden State, because if there's anybody else in that series, I don't think anybody else knocks out Golden State. I really don't. Look, I think Golden State's going to the finals. I don't see a team in the West that can stop them. I don't think Houston will. Now obviously be something to watch too with Carmelo Anthony there. We'll see how he does there. If the Lakers somehow get there, which I know most people don't think it's possible. I do think it is possible. I think the Lakers are going to win more than 50 games. They already had a good young core, and you have LeBron, and LeBron makes everybody better. And I could see them making a couple midseason trades to fortify things. And I think enough teams are down in the West right now that the Lakers could conceivably put up enough wins. I think the Thunder, I think they're better than. I think they're better. I think the Rockets are going to struggle this year. I think they really are. I think Carmelo is going to mess things up for them. And I like Carmelo, but I think it's going to mess up the dynamic. And then you mentioned the fact that, the Spurs are going to be down. They don't have Kawhi Leonard. A lot of these teams, I think, are going to be down. So I think that allows the Lakers to maybe rack up more wins than people think. I think they're going to win at least 50 games. I could see them finishing around 55, 56 wins, which would be great. And I could see them making it to the Western Conference Finals and maybe sneaking into the finals. I could see it. It's not a terrible basketball team. You're adding LeBron to a good young core. People need to remember that. And LeBron makes everybody better. So I could see it. So I guess you call it. I'm not gonna call the Lakers a sweeper. You could call them one if you want to, but I'm not gonna call them that because that to me, LeBron there, and they're entirely a sweeper. I guess you could call the New Orleans Pelicans a sweeper because with Anthony Davis, I expect them to be a team that really kind of takes a huge step this year. They did last year, but I think they'll take an even bigger step this year. They're going to shock some teams and be higher than you thought they would be. But in the end, I think the Warriors are the team that goes to the finals. I think they'll meet the Celtics, and I'm just throwing the prediction out because I think it's easy to predict that. I think your Western Conference Finals will be the Warriors, and I think the Lakers. I really do. I think the Warriors advance, and I like the Celtics, and I think it's gonna be the Celtics. I don't know if it'll be the Raptors because I don't know if they're gonna keep Kawhi. Um, I could see Kawhi being moved at the deadline, but if they keep Kawhi, I suppose it's gonna be Toronto. But I trust Philly more than I trust Toronto. I think it'll be the Celtics and the Sixers. I think the Celtics will advance. I think it'll be the Celtics versus the Warriors. I'm still picking Golden State because it's hard for me to pick against them. But Boston, I think, will give them a 7-game series. I really do. I think they'll give them a hell of a series. I mentioned that the Pelicans are like a sweeper for me in the West. My sweeper in the East, not the Cavaliers. I've seen some people think the Cavaliers can still make the Eastern Conference Finals. That's absurd. I just don't see it. Um, let's see. Who do I think is a sweeper? For me, I like to pick one for each division. Oh, he's side of the coin here. Not Miami. You know what? My sweeper is the Pacers. The Pacers are my sweeper. Pacers or Wizards. I think one or the other. One of those two teams will be my sweeper. I think that they're improved. I think they showed improvement last year. They have playmakers. I think one of those two teams. That doesn't mean they're going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But they're going to be a team that does better than expected and is higher in terms of the standings than you'd expect. I think that either LeBron James. I think either LeBron James or Russell Westbrook will win the MVP. Um, and again, a lot of big stories to follow. Obviously the Warriors and who can stop them. The Celtics, LeBron in LA, Kawhi Leonard. Will he be moved again at the deadline? What will happen with him? Obviously there'll be a lot of stories next offseason about Durant and a lot of these other guys. It's gonna be a big offseason next year, but we'll leave that offseason stuff for the offseason. We'll just start the season. Of course, those things could impact trade season during the midway point of the season as well. But we'll talk more about that when we get to it. It's hard to imagine that now. Uh, some of these teams that have gotten younger, got different coaching. The Knicks, the Nets, or whatever. You see, like to see how they're going to do. What else? The Rockets and Carmelo being down there, how that's going to work out. Paul George now having had a year to acclimate to the Thunder, now staying with the Thunder, how he does. Kyrie Irving, will he stay to his word and stay with the Celtics like he said he would? Or, if he's not, then maybe you see him move at the deadline. We'll see. I don't anticipate that because I think he is staying. I don't think they move at the deadline anyway, but there's always potential for that. Trying to think of what else is there. Pardon me. What else? Some of these teams that are kind of in mid-tier teams like Portland. I was in New Orleans, and would they take a big step forward? You know, those are just among the storylines. Kristaps Porzingis, will he come back healthy? Those are just some of the storylines. I think it's gonna be Dwayne Wade's last season too, so that'll be a thing. Um, there's something else I was gonna say too. I'm trying to think of what it is. Can't think of what it is. Wow. Um, but yeah, those are just some of the storylines that you look at, and you know, you want to see play out during the course of the season. And again, I think it'll be an interesting season, especially with the stuff with the Lakers, and I think it'll be an interesting season. It really will be. I think it'll be an interesting season. Which, you know, will probably end with at least the Warriors back in the finals and potentially winning it. But you know what? I think there'll be some interesting stuff along the way. So I said it'd be a brief preview, and that's what it was, a brief preview. Why? Because it's getting late, but also because there ain't much you can say. You know, that's where the NBA is right now. I know I've said that a lot tonight, but some of these topics we just didn't have a lot to discuss tonight. And with the NBA, it's where they're at right now. It's a league that's been dominated by a few teams, and it's very top heavy, and that's just the way it's been. So I can't do anything about it. And one of those top heavy teams, the Warriors, playing tonight, and they're up 48-39 on the Oklahoma City Thunder with 4:48 left in the second quarter. That game on TNT. Earlier tonight, the Celtics beat the Sixers 105-87 in the game that Russell Westbrook did not play in tonight. So NBA opening night, those are your two games. Everybody else will pretty much get underway tomorrow and Thursday. So we'll see how those other teams play once you get beyond tonight. But yeah, the NBA season has officially started. Now, a lot of people asked me if I was going to do over-unders. I'm not going to do over-unders for the NBA, and here's why. Because it's been very predictable over the last couple of years. Again, very top-heavy, and, you know, it's hard to do over-unders for the NBA. So we're not going to do over-unders for the NBA. Like in the NFL. I think NFL can do a little more with it. So NBA, it's a little too hard. So, you know, again, like it's hard because a lot of these teams end up very close. I mean, very few teams. It's too hard. You can't get a range, and it's just too hard. So we won't do it for that. But I gave you my predictions as far as Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals, NBA Finals, MVP. To me, that's good enough. So the season underway, should be a fun season. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see what drama develops, and we'll talk about it along the way. So, yeah. Now, for those wondering when we'll do like a college basketball preview, we'll do that once we get to November. It's just, you know, once I usually like to wait a couple weeks into the season for right around Thanksgiving to do that. You know, right around the time of the holiday tournament, so just get a sense of some of these teams, because that to me that it's sometimes important to do that. So we'll do that when that time comes. But right now we'll just keep it to, and the NBA we usually wait to do as well. But again, with us being on hiatus next week and the week after, I figure we should just do that now. So all right, so we got through everything we had to cover. We did NFL, college football, NBA, baseball. We did everything we had to cover. We made our way through everything. So let's stop. Let's wind down here before I lose my voice and what little strength I have left here. Just because the show is over does not mean you have to stop interacting, contributing to our show. Continue to have your voice heard. Send us your feedback, your questions about the show and the scheduling of the show, topic ideas, or breaking news items related to sports, entertainment, wrestling, wants to cover, reactions, opinions, comments on things we talk about in the show. Any of these things you can do by email, Facebook, and Twitter. You can email us at itspotlight401@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight401. Remember to use the hashtag itspotlight401 for anything to tweet regarding our show. And, of course, you can find us on Facebook. Just search In the Spotlight 401 on Facebook. And then once you find our fan page, you can like it. And once you like it, you can interact with us and all that good stuff. We encourage you to follow us on social media for the latest information about our show, especially when it comes to scheduling. Any last-minute postponements or delays, we'll post information on our social media, on our Facebook, on our Twitter about it, so you all know what's going on. Because, again, we try to let you know ahead of time, but sometimes things pop up. We also post random things on our social media as well. So to have access to all that and more, you want to make sure you follow us on social media. So follow us on Twitter at IT Spotlight 411. Remember, hashtag IT Spotlight 411 is what you want to use when tweeting anything at us or when tweeting regarding our show. And you can find us on Facebook. Just search In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook, and make sure that you like our fan page so you can interact with us and all that stuff, all that good stuff. There are 2 ways to keep up the show and look back at class clips. You can either stream us anytime here on YouTube. Just search In the Spotlight 411, and you can stream every episode we ever produced for Google Plus and YouTube, going all the way back to mid-October 2015. So every episode from mid-October 2015, all up to tonight's current episode, every episode we ever produced for YouTube and Google Plus is available for you to stream anytime you want. So if you're interested in those episodes and you want to check them out again or for the first time or whatever the case may be, then make sure that you search for us on YouTube and under In the Spotlight 411, and you can stream those episodes anytime. If streaming is not your thing, maybe you prefer to listen to us instead of seeing us on screen. Maybe you prefer to listen to us on the go. Maybe you're interested in older episodes of our show. If any of that applies to you, check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. And when you do, you'll be taken to our show pages on both sites. We have access to every episode ever produced in the 8 years we've been doing the show. So every episode from our original Blog Talk Radio one from October 2010 to January 2011. Every episode from our Talk Shoe Run from January 2011 all up to October 2015. And all of our episodes from Google Plus and YouTube from mid-October 2015 all up to tonight's current episode. All those episodes available in audio format for your convenience. Every episode we've ever done is an audio format for your convenience, in order from the most recent, that being tonight, all the way to the oldest, way back in October 2010. All those episodes available for you to check out and listen to anytime you want. Maybe you're a longtime fan, wants to look back at an episode from way back when, or a new fan wants to look back at an episode like that for the first time, or watch an episode like that, listen to an episode like that for the first time, or interested in catching up on more recent episodes, maybe missed a part of an episode, want to check an episode again. If any of that applies to you, check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes. To search In the Spotlight 411. So Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, and Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, your ways to keep up the show. You're gonna look back at class episodes, search for In the Spotlight 411, and search for In the Spotlight 411. Okay, couple quick score updates before we do our shout outs. Once again, Golden State leading Oklahoma City 52-39 here on NBA opening night. That game on TNT, 3:19 left in the second. If you're interested in checking out that game earlier tonight, the Celtics knocked off the Sixers 105-87. Again, NBA opening night. Everybody else will be underway tomorrow and Thursday. So check out your schedules and see if the team you're looking for is when they're playing and what the deal is with that if you're interested. So, all right, and then baseball, we are NLCS Game 4 tonight. Bottom of the 7th, 1 out. This game on TBS, by the way. The Brewers and the Dodgers are tied up at 1. So if you're interested in that game, again, that game on TBS. This series, the Brewers lead 2-1. Earlier today, the Red Sox knocked off the Astros 8-2. They now lead that best-of-7 series 2-1. Game 4 from Houston tomorrow night. So that's the story with the baseball series and with NBA opening night. So if interested, make sure to check your local listings or tune in to the stations that I told you are airing those games, respective games, both in the NBA and MLB tonight. So shout out to my co-host Mike. He joined us on Thursday. Everybody was great. Was very happy about that. You know, I got a lot of good feedback, and everybody said it was great to have him back, and hopefully we'll have him back permanently soon. So thank you for the well wishes to him. I got to show him everything. I think he'd appreciate it. But it was good to have him back on Thursday, and I think the audience really liked having him back. So hopefully he'll be back on permanently in the future. But for the anniversary on Thursday, having him back, that was great. And also great to, celebrate the anniversary, and thank you all for your well wishes and everything that you said about it. We didn't really do like a whole big diatribe about it and do a whole speech about it, because after a while you just don't do that anymore. But we do appreciate all your well wishes and all your support and loyalty over the years. So thank you so much. But yeah, shout out to my co-host Mike. Hope everything's going well for him, and hopefully we'll have him back on the air soon with us. I want to thank myself and our great show panel on my back, and thank all of you for your continued support and contributions to the show. Thank you so much for watching. To those that be watching, listening to this later in archive, thank you to you as well. We appreciate it. Thank you for bearing with me with this cold and being late and everything else. And I know this wasn't the best show. kind of was out of it. I was very forgetful and, kind of all over the place. But thank you for being patient, understanding, and bearing with me. I do appreciate it. Hopefully, I'll be better by Thursday. That's the hope. Because that is our next show on Thursday. We'll do wrestling, all the big WWE stuff, all the other big wrestling stuff we have to talk about. Entertainment, box office beat, which we'll do a double edition of. Be our last one before the hiatus. And then we'll also do some TV highlights as well. So that'll be on Thursday's show, which will be a much shorter show than tonight, but still a show nonetheless. And we'll talk about the schedule and how everything's going to be going over the next few weeks as well on Thursday as well. So, all right, I just said this well twice. See how out of it I am, folks? It's pretty bad. All right, so with that being said, I hope you all have a great rest of your night, a great Wednesday, and a great Thursday. We'll see you back here for our next show this coming Thursday night, October the 18th, broadcasting and streaming live here on YouTube at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, have a good night, everybody.